Good morning, everybody. This is my first effort at something like this. Um, I've never done a presentation or this presentation uh, via the web before. So this is going to be interesting. Forgive, forgive all the screw ups. At least on this first one, I'm just learning. This is going to be broken down into I'll probably break it down into maybe 15-20 minute segments. I'm going to post individually later on. uh, I just wanted to put something out there so you know what you're getting into first, uh, before we continue on. um, First off, introduce myself. My name is Rob Santasero. I'm medically retired from both United States Army and from the Sheriff's Office here. Uh, I was a deputy back before 9/11. I went back on active duty for 15 years, and I've spent a good deal of time in the Middle East. Um, so it gives me some perspective on what's going on in our country, what we're hearing from not what we're not hearing from our intelligence services, and what we're hearing from those of us who have fought this global war for the last 20 years. So the training that I'm gonna present, a background on this. Um, this was developed. I developed this back before the 2020 election, when there was all the Antifa stuff, all the anti-police rhetoric, when law enforcement was being targeted throughout the country, and it's kind of evolved. The first group that I actually presented this to was all of us who were sworn law enforcement who were going to the inauguration in January 2021, uh, right after the January 6th incident. So it was an interesting time. How this all came about, though, what we started to do, what I started to do, was look at trends across the country. What was law enforcement? What was the general public seeing as far as TTPs, techniques, tactics, procedures that let's just call them adversaries, were using for some of these riots, for some of this targeting of law enforcement. It kind of evolved from there into research that was done in Baghdad during the height of the insurgency when I was there. Uh, Most of it, a lot of it, good bit of it by the United States Marine Corps. And it's evolved into what they call combat profiling. Profiling is a bad word in law enforcement. I get it, but we're absolutely going to use some of that. I'm not law enforcement anymore, so we're absolutely going to use that word and talk about profiles. One word that we're not going to use, though, this is the only time you're going to hear me mention race. As far as I'm concerned, there's only one race, the human race. Okay, everything else is about culture. The culture that you grow up in, the culture that people come from. Uh, a lot of people have never been outside the United States and really don't have a good grasp of just what it's like out there. And when I left the sheriff's office after 9/11, I did it for a reason. I would rather go fight there than have to fight them here and put my family and my communities through that. Uh, but that's the point we're at. This the training really doesn't specific. It's not specifically built to. Um, I didn't build it to address uh, Islamic terrorism, but the techniques that we're going to talk about absolutely do apply. Um, this is built on the Marine Corps model. The science behind why the hair on the back of your neck stands up when you walk into a situation. When something feels off, why is that? And it's really the biology of how our bodies are built, and how we evolved over tens of thousands of years. And we don't pay enough attention to that nowadays. We're civilized. We don't need to. But there are some times when we absolutely have to. And this is one of them. We need to pay attention to those biological signals that our subconscious is picking up on and telling us about, that we wouldn't otherwise need to. This has been further researched by the FBI, by the Secret Service, by other agencies and analysts on active shooter situations uh, in the decades since. And it really applies across everything. It applies across the board, to a whole slew of situations, and that's really what I've tried to gear it towards. So we're going to break this down. It's probably going to be 7 or so videos, maybe 15-20 minutes a piece, that really delve into each of those scientific areas, and then a few things that we can do um, to train ourselves. This is absolutely something that this is just going to barely scratch the surface. This is usually a roughly 2-hour in-person presentation, and there's usually a lot of back and forth. So that's why it's kind of new for me. Um, but I'm open to hear all your comments and feedback on this. This is absolutely, something that's been refined continually as we learn new things. Um, what I am going to I'm going to leave you with this as to how this actually plays out and how it will work in the context of what we've been talking about online, and that's going to come down to a guy by the name of Benny Norris. That's who I want to talk about. And this is going to go back several decades, back to the turn of the century, 1999, when we were all concerned with Y2K, and computers are going to freeze up, and the world is going to collapse. Thank God it didn't, but there were those out there who kind of wanted to hasten that process along, and this is a situation where trusting your gut instinct, even though you couldn't articulate exactly what it was that your subconscious was telling you, paid off and saved lives. And I've got a friend who teaches this, who teaches instructors in this. His name is Yusuf Badu, Badou. Look him up on YouTube. Look up his company, Emergence Detect or Emergence Disrupt. He trains this, and I'm going to borrow a lot from him, so I'll credit to him about this story. But up in north of Seattle, the border crossing, there was an incoming vehicle from Canada right before the turn of the century, and they stopped him, and as they were questioning him, I love the way Yusuf puts this, and it's what the customs officers, the border patrol officers who were there, this is the way they described it. Something was hinky. Something's just off. Something was off about what they were, what the questions they were asking, the responses they were getting, what they were seeing. Something made the hair on the back of their neck stand up. They got those goosebumps. Something's just off here. So she went back. She was talking with her supervisor. They both reapproached the vehicle. Guy took off running. Long story short, they end up capturing him. They pop open the trunk, and it's much better story if you hear Yusuf tell it. That's what I actually play his video during my training. They found what they describe as white powder and stuff in there. They thought it was drugs, so they arrest the guy. They take the vehicle and this carload of drugs. They're taking it to the lab a couple hours away, and they had done some testing there on the roadside. I can't remember. I'd have to watch the video again to remember exactly how it played out. But long story short, they called the officer who was taking the vehicle to the lab and told him, pull over, wherever you're at, pull over, get out of the vehicle, get as far away from the vehicle as you can, because it was all homemade explosives in the trunk. The name the driver was using was Benny Norris. He was actually Ahmed Rassam, 32, of Algeria. He was an Al Qaeda operative, part of a Canadian cell. What was actually in the trunk was nitroglycerin and ureous sulfate, fusing systems, a bunch of alias IDs, and his target destination was, if I remember correctly, LAX. And he was going to bomb LAX on the turn of the century. So it's a much better story when you hear him talk about it. But so what it boils down to is all the science behind why the hair on the back of your neck is standing up. Why is my subconscious telling me something is wrong here, but I just can't articulate what it is. I'm not sure what it is. We're going to get into 6 different scientific areas that you can kind of categorize some of that and be better able to articulate to law enforcement and help them develop probable cause so that they can pursue something. We hear a lot of times FBI's or local law enforcement, somebody knew something was off about this guy. But law enforcement, in order to be able to act, has to be able to develop probable cause in order to do so. They have to be able to justify that to a judge, to the courts. And if they cannot do that, they cannot act. Right? What we want to be able to do is help you better articulate why it is that the hair on the back of your neck is standing up. What is it? What is the anomaly versus the normal baseline? What's the anomaly here that, be it a change in activity, how they interact with others, whatever the case may be. You need to be able to articulate that to law enforcement if we get law enforcement involved prior to something bad happening. This is all left of bang stuff. That's why we call it left of bang. Before something bad happens, or to be able to better articulate why you took the action that you did when an incident happens. What were those things that 5 seconds, 10 seconds before something bad happened, you recognized something was off, something was badly off, and something was about to happen, and you were forced to take an action to protect yourself, protect your family, protect your community. What was that? So you can justify why you did what you did. There's a lot of great training out there on understanding terrorism, understanding specifically the radical Islamists, how they might act. Much better training than what I can provide. There's great training. Somebody had mentioned in the thread on X getting Stop the Bleed training. Absolutely. Get Stop the Bleed training. Get firearms training. Get whatever training, there's much better instructors out there than I could possibly be on stuff like that. Please go out and get some quality training. Get the supplies, put together your EDC, your everyday carry kit, uh, whatever it is that is going to help you stay alive, survive, and protect your family and your communities. Get that training. But we're specifically going to talk about, though, in this series is what are those things that might help you spot a potential threat before it acts, before it becomes, before they're able to act. And not just potential threats, but a whole slew of other things that might benefit you in your day to day, in your community, everyday criminal stuff, whatever whatever it might be that leads you to believe something is anomalous or out of the ordinary, so that you can focus on that and help to resolve whatever that is before something bad happens. So that's me. That's what this training is going to be all about. Forgive my office. I'm at home. I'm remodeling and reorganizing in here. This is all new to me as far as doing it in this format. So if you want to bear with me, this is all going to be on this first stuff I've ever put on YouTube. So please bear with me. I welcome your feedback. I'll post this on X. Feel free to share it if you think it'll help, and don't mind my dogs and other noises around here. But thank you, and hopefully in the next few days, the coming days, hopefully over the course of the week, I'll put one or two up a day, and hopefully we'll knock all this out. Thank you much. Stay safe out there. Watch your six.